In today's video, I'm going to share with you how you can land 4 to 8 clients this very month, working 4 or less hours per week. However, this only applies to high ticket. If you have something that's low ticket, this is not applicable. I'm going to start by asking you 2 questions and tell you a story. The first question is, how smart do you think you are compared to the biggest billion-dollar corporations in the world? Chances are, if you have some amount of self-awareness, some amount of humility, and hopefully some amount of balance, you're going to say, not smarter. Hopefully you're going to be like, no, yeah, I'm not as smart as them. Pretty smart, not as smart as them. Let's hope my audience have that level of self-awareness. Question number 2, how smart do you think your prospects are? Meaning, how smart do you think your buyers are, your audience are? Again, hopefully, with some level of humility, some level of self-awareness, you're going to say, my audience are pretty smart. My audience are a reflection of me, and so they're relatively smart. Let's hope that most of my people give these answers. Now, let me tell you a story. So somebody reached out to me, a prospect, a lead, wanting to know about the record breaker offer that we have going on. And if you're interested, if you think we're a vibe match, send me a DM. We can talk about that. They sent me a question about my frameworks. And they said, how can you claim that you have clients who are successful on Instagram, on YouTube, on Spotify, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, so on and so forth? And I was like, how is it not possible? So I was like, why don't you explain to me what you mean by that? Like, give me a little more. Because you understand and I understand that the level of people's questions tell you the level of their thinking. The level of their thinking tells you where their business is going to be at. And so they responded back by saying, I understand and I know for a fact that Instagram uses the Reels and the carousel strategy. LinkedIn uses a different strategy. Facebook right now is using the Reels strategy. And so that was the answer to me. So I was like, interesting. So I responded back to them. Now, obviously, part of me got a little annoyed and upset that that they called it strategy. But I was like, let me look at it from a more mature point of view. Maybe it's not their fault. Maybe that's all they've been taught. So I responded to them and I said, look, I'm a little confused because what you're talking about is the format. A short form reel is a format. A long form video is a format. And I was like, these are not strategies. These aren't even frameworks. Strategy comes first, framework comes second, format comes third. And so I left it at that. And I left it to them to understand what I mean by that. I didn't feel the need to overly explain myself. But it's not this person. Last year, I had a health and fitness coach who had for 2 years been making reels and they still didn't have any clients. And I was like, explain your creation process to me. They said it takes me about an hour to do a reel. I spend about 5 to 10 minutes thinking about what I'm going to talk about, the topic, and then I spend 30 minutes filming it and about 30 minutes editing it, more or less about an hour. I was like, interesting. Now my question for you, if you think you're not as smart as the billion-dollar corporations in the world, the biggest companies out there, and I've been part of, grown businesses for these companies, we would spend months figuring out the messaging and the angle. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, that's platform. Back in the day, that was the channel we were going to use. So like television, radio, print, like this tells you how old I am. Television, radio, print, digital, whatever we were going to use. The framework is how we're going to give the message. Are we looking to launch this brand? Are we looking to grow this brand? And then we would spend a couple of weeks on, all right, how's the channel distribution going to be? Meaning, how much money are we going to put in television? How much money are we going to put in print and in digital and so on and so forth? If you think you're not as smart as the billion-dollar companies, and this is what I asked the fitness coach, I was like, why would you spend the least amount of time on the strategy and the most amount of time on the format, which is real? Fitness coaches have the biggest advantage because they look the part. So they're a walking, talking result of what they promise their clients day in and day out. And so it's still easy to work with them. If you, God forbid, are a transformational coach and that transformation is not visible, you better be putting a lot of thought, a lot of time figuring out the message you're going to give and the positioning that it's going to have. Why do you think there are yet other creators who've grown entire subscriber bases to a couple of 100,000 and still cannot monetize them? Because there is such a thing as going viral with the wrong people who aren't going to buy. And that's why I said this video is not for high ticket, because for low ticket, you can make reels and you can go viral on Instagram and TikTok and you can monetize it and you can sell stuff for 20 bucks, 7 bucks. And so my dear friend, if you think your audience are as smart as you, maybe you should give them the benefit of the doubt and treat them like they're smart and give them more value and put more time in figuring out what resonates with them. Every single person I've met whose content is not getting them inbound leads. Inbound leads means people reaching out to you saying, oh my God, this is me. It sounds like you're in my head. How do I find out more about you? That's a highly qualified inbound lead. If that's not happening to you, it's not a format problem. It is a problem of either not having a strategy to begin with, and I've met enough people who do that, or they don't have frameworks in place, meaning their coach told them do a before and after, do a personal story, didn't explain any of the nuance behind how before and after works. A before and after is an offshoot of the hero's journey format. It is done in a nuanced, specific, particular way. And so I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it breaks my heart when I see people doing this year in and year out. And I have to tell them that, you know what? Your content is just bad. And it breaks their heart and it breaks my heart to say to them, but then we actually fix it. And if you spend, the reason I say 4 hours is if you spend even 30 minutes a day thinking about the messaging, the framework, the strategy, before you think about the damn format, I guarantee you will land clients. Guaranteed. Most people do not have a lead generation problem. They have a lead conversion problem. They're reaching far more people than they need to reach, except no one gives a shit about them. So what you're basically doing is you're disempowering yourself to such a degree that you're hoping that the random ass strategy of making reels is all of a sudden going to land you clients. That's not business. That's not how business works. I've grown 5 to 8, 7, and 6 figures. Never in any of those businesses did we randomly put out content and all of a sudden make bank. It just doesn't work like that. This might be a bitter pill to swallow, but I mean it with the utmost respect. If you're one of those people being fed these surface level, oh, it's a TikTok strategy, oh, it's a real strategy, that's a load of crap. It's not a strategy, it's just a platform. It's just not even a platform. It's a freaking format. It can change tomorrow. Right now, Instagram is pushing carousels. 3 months from now might be a new format. Formats come and go like the seasons, like the weather. Do not make your strategy format dependent. It's the worst business strategy ever. And so the coaching industry right now is literally split between people who think a little too much and don't execute. And I hope this message doesn't make them stop even more. And then the other half of people who just execute a little too much because they've swallowed the pill of get shit done and do more and execute and do. And that's how you end up with people with 300 plus videos and 0 sales. The assumption here being that if you execute enough, you're going to learn while executing, but you don't learn. You need someone monitoring. That's why people hire coaches. You need someone monitoring you, telling you this. You cannot reverse engineer good quality content just looking YouTube. If you could, everybody would be doing that and be making bank. So do yourself a favor. If you're one of these people who's been making hundreds of videos, if you're one of those people who thinks that a format is a strategy, I hope this is a wake-up call for you. I don't want you to spend another 2 years, 3 years making formats and expecting a format to do magic for you. I mean this with the utmost of respect and love for you. I'm out of here. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.